Police calling all cars, attention all cars, broadcast 20, regarding the murder of a young woman on 99th Street. Suspect unknown. That's all. Rosenberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following conversation was overheard at a school crossing the other day. A young lady, age 10, was being escorted across the street by Officer Murphy.
Howdy, Mary. You're all smiles this morning. Something special going on at school today?
Yeah, we was going on a picnic up in the mountains over Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, that's well. Whereabouts?
Oh, Mount Wilson. We're going to see the stars through the great big telescope.
That's a pretty big, steep climb, Mary, for a little girl.
Oh, we don't mind climbs anymore, because Dad uses your gasoline.
By your gasoline, Mary meant Rio Grande Crack, the official police gasoline. The fuel that powers more police cars, ambulances, fire engines, and motorcycles in Southern California and Arizona than all other brands combined. Again, Chief James E. Davis of the Los Angeles Police Department, through whose cooperation these programs are broadcast, has a message for you. He states,
Good evening. Unfortunately, the general public knows all too little about the stupendous task successfully achieved each day by the police of our large population centers, such as Los Angeles. The public learns through the press and by radio of but a few of the intricate workings of a large body of men and women whose duty and responsibility it is to enforce the laws and protect our citizens against the loss or injury of persons and property. The dramatic and sensational witness, usually incident to criminal cases, naturally attracts a great deal of public attention. It is therefore fair and almost a necessity for all persons giving information concerning the work of our law enforcement agencies to stress the fact that cases given wide publicity constitutes but a small fraction of the work done by your police department. The story I have chosen for you tonight illustrates how necessary it is for our men to be trained and experienced, intuitive and alert in the investigation of crimes, particularly those where but few clues to the identity of the person committing them are available for the police to work upon. The crime we are to portray for you tonight was one of the most brutal and cold-blooded in the history of our local police work. The man that conceived it worked carefully and almost successfully in building up an unbeatable alibi. The man who actually committed the crime as a tool of the man who planned it was by circumstances far removed from any suspicion and might have evaded justice were it not for the intelligent manner in which the case was handled.
What on earth are you doing up at this hour of the night? What are you doing here? What's the matter, child? Why are you crying? Why, what's this? On your sleeping jacket. It's ripped and sticky. There now, let's see. Oh, my God, it's blood! There's your mother, Billy. Mary! Mary, are you all right? Oh, wait until I turn on the light in here. Oh, Mary!
Dad, you're dreaming, Florence.
Oh, Herman, look. Oh, she's been murdered. Shot through the neck. Oh,
Mr. Cannon frantically called for the police. Shortly after the discovery of the body, Inspector Detective Davidson arrives at the scene of the crime.
In here, Inspector. Nothing's been touched.
Buckshot wound, eh?
Yes, sir. Fired point blank, apparently.
Yes, looks that way. Well, here's the gun that did the work. Double-barreled, sawed-off shotgun. One barrel exploded.
Cool guy, whoever he was, leaving the gun there.
Yes, he must have been pretty sure that he didn't leave any prints on it. However, take it in, Hickey, and have it examined for prints and get the photographer to come out here and take some pictures of the scene.
Yes, sir.
Who else was in the house at the time of the shooting?
The sister and brother-in-law of the murdered woman.
Where are they now?
In the next room.
Good. I want to talk to them. Good morning. I'm Inspector Davidson.
Cannon's my name, Inspector, and this is my wife.
How do you do?
oh, it's horrible. Oh, my poor sister. Poor little nurse.
Mrs. Cannon, have you any idea who might have killed your sister?
Find Emery, her husband. He's the only enemy Merle had.
Emery. Is that his last name?
No, his full name was Emery Ells.
Where can we find him?
I'll go with you, Inspector, and show you where he lives.
Emery Ells, his brother Alfred, and a friend of theirs named Ralph Moulton, found by the officers at Ells' house, are taken into custody. Brought into headquarters, Emery Ells is questioned first.
How old are you, Ells?
26.
What do you do?
I'm a waiter
Where?
at Hancock's all-night restaurant.
Tell us exactly what you did yesterday from the time you got up until you went to bed. And speak slowly so the stenographer can get it.
Well, that's easy. My day begins at 6 o'clock in the evening when I report for work at the restaurant. Yesterday, I got up late in the afternoon, stopped by my mother's house for a few minutes, then went to the restaurant. I wasn't out of the place until 6 o'clock this morning when I went home.
Can you prove that?
Sure. All you got to do is ask Harry Hancock. He's my boss. We'll find him at the restaurant.
From more indications, your wife was killed sometime after midnight. Are you sure you didn't leave the cafe at any time during the night?
Of course I'm sure. Besides, why should I want to kill my wife? She's not my wife anyway. We're divorced.
Well, I understand that you threatened her life on several occasions.
That sounds like Herman Cannon talking. Well, it ain't so. Sure, we had our share of arguments, like anybody else, that's all. I'll tell you, you got the wrong guy if you think I killed her. I can prove where I was all day and all night yesterday. And what more do you want?
The truth. You had a possible motive for wanting her out of the way. It's true, isn't it, that you kidnapped the baby after the court gave your wife custody of it?
I took him to Arizona with me. Then he got sick and I brought him back to his mother. Listen, you guys are all wet on that score. I get to see my baby whenever I want to. You're barking up the wrong tree. I didn't have any motive for wanting to bump Merle off.
All right, that's enough for now. Take him out, Sergeant, and bring in his brother.
Yes, sir.
We'll have to investigate that alibi of his.
Right.
Certainly is cool about the whole business.
Yeah, and so's his brother. Did you hear that crack when we pinched him?
No, what was it?
Well, he asked me if the gun we found, and I told him it was being examined for fingerprints. And he laughed and said, well, that'll tell you who the murderer is.
They're both a little too cocky to suit me. Sit down, Els. Now tell us, where were you last night?
Making my rounds. What do you mean, making your rounds? I'm a deputy constable out in Maywood. I spent the night patrolling my district.
Who do you think killed your sister-in-law?
How should I know? Why did you laugh this morning when I told you that the shotgun was being examined for fingerprints? Did I laugh? I don't remember laughing. Well, no fingerprints were found on the gun. Is it possible you knew that the murderer wore gloves? I don't know anything about it.
Take him back to his cell, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Call in Moulton.
All right, Eddie. Bring in Moulton.
Sit down.
No, thanks. I'd rather stand.
What's the matter? You're shaking like a leaf.
Damn if I know, but this thing's got my ghost.
You've been living with the Elves boys, haven't you?
Yes?
Well, how come?
Well, I've been out of work, so they let me stay in the garage and eat with them in return for doing odd jobs around the place.
Where were you yesterday and last night?
I rode around with Alfred in his car before he went to work. Bought some groceries, and then went back to the house. I didn't leave again all evening.
Did anything unusual happen during the evening?
No. I sat up with Donald, Al's kid brother, till about 1 o'clock, listening to some hillbillies on the radio.
Did anyone else come in?
Not a soul.
What do you know about this murder?
Nothing. Honest to God, Inspector. I don't see what you're holding me for. I've got nothing to do with it at all.
Well, how about Emery Ells? Did you ever hear him say he wished Merle was dead?
No, I never heard him say anything like that. I don't know anything about it at all.
Okay, Moulton.
Can I go now?
Well, we'll have to hold you a little while longer.
Well, it won't do you any good, because I don't know anything about it.
All right, take him back, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
He's holding something back.
Yeah, and he hasn't the guts to hold it back long. Either he did the job or he knows who did it.
He'll crack before long. All he needs is a little time. Opinions at detective headquarters vary on the identity of the killer. Some feel that Emery L's ironclad alibi, substantiated by testimony of his employer, still can be broken, and Emery proven to be the slayer. Others feel that Alfred had ample opportunity during the night to commit the crime, although a motive for Alfred seems to be lacking. In contrast to the cool self-assuredness of the Ells brothers, Moulton's nervousness and protestations of innocence lead others of the officers to consider him the killer. Scores of witnesses are questioned, and from their testimony is revealed that although the explanations of the Ells brothers regarding their whereabouts on the fatal night seemed to eliminate them as suspects, nevertheless, Emery Ells had been heard to remark that he would hire somebody to kill his wife. Following this trenchant bit of information, the officers questioned another sister of the murdered woman.
Yes, Inspector. Merle has told me several times that she feared Emery would kill her.
Why? Had he threatened her life?
Yes. Well, that is, I've heard him tell her that he'd get her sooner or later. And I've seen him strike her.
When was that?
Well, last summer, Merle and I were running a hot dog stand down at the beach. And one night, Emery came down there and told her he wanted her to take a walk with him so that he could talk to her. I heard him say, "Come on, so I won't have to hurt you."
Did she go?
Yes. A little while later, she came running back crying. And she told me that he'd tried to push her over the palisade. She was awfully bruised from fighting him off. And then later in the evening, he came back and tried to drag her off in his car. Then we called the police. And they took him away.
But why should Ells want to kill his wife?
Well, he wanted to get her out of the way because he knew too much about some of the jobs he pulled.
What kind of jobs do you mean?
Just jobs.
You'd better tell us what you mean.
Oh, listen, Lieutenant. I don't want to get into any trouble. Just leave it at that. I don't know any more about Emery, and I don't want to.
The next day, a blood-flecked flashlight is found in Alfred L's automobile. He admits ownership of it, but is unable to account for the blood spot. On the clothesline behind the L's house is found a pair of freshly laundered corduroy trousers, bearing dark stains that might be blood. Moulton admits that these are his, but claims that the stains are a grease spot. That evening, another officer is added to the investigation when Detective J.T. Philkes, completing a previous assignment, joins his brother officers in an attempt to unravel the mystery. He interviews the three suspects, and as the others had done, decides to concentrate on Moulton.
Now, look here, Moulton. You've admitted those trousers are yours. And that brands you as the murderer because the stains on those trousers are blood. No, you're crazy. I told you they're grease. Just grease spots from the last time I worked on Alfred's car.
Moulton, you're lying.
I swear I'm not.
You know more about this case than you're telling us.
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. I don't know anything about it.
Listen, Moulton, you'd better come clean because that's the only way you're going to save your own neck.
I tell you, I've got nothing to confess.
Look here, Moulton. Blood's thicker than water. And those Elves boys will stick together. And you may find yourself in a hot spot before you get through with it. Those trousers are being analyzed right now. And we'll soon know whether you're telling the truth.
I had nothing to do with the murder.
But you do know who did it.
No. No. No, I swear to God I don't.
Is that the truth?
Yes.
Well, you know, I'm kind of glad that you're not the man that we're looking for. Have a cigarette?
Oh, thanks. Gee, and I need one.
Have a light?
Smoke tastes good.
Have you been out of work long, Moulton?
Yeah, about 6 months.
Pretty tough going these days, isn't it?
And getting worse.
Oh, I don't know. It could be a lot worse.
Well, there don't seem to be no hope in sight.
Well, there's no use being pessimistic about it. All things will come out all right.
Maybe, but I doubt it.
Moulton, who killed Merlin?
I told you I don't know.
Don't get that way. Sorry. Say, you're as nervous as a politician. What do you think, Moulton? You figure the Hoover will lick the depression?
I don't see how. He hasn't done me good yet. It's bigger than he is.
Well, he's got 2 years more in the White House, though.
Yeah, but what this country needs is a Democratic administration. That'd fix things up.
A Democratic administration. You're crazy.
No, sir. I know what I'm talking about. Now, listen. With a Democrat in the White House...
Who killed Merle Elves?
Listen, Philkus, I told you I don't know anything about it.
You do, Moulton. Now stop holding out on me.
Well, maybe I do have my suspicions, but they wouldn't help you much.
Anything will help. Now, come on. Let's have it.
Well, Emery traveled with some pretty tough guys. You might look some of them up.
Now, who, for instance?
Listen, I don't want to put the finger on anyone.
You'd better talk, Moulton.
See, I don't even know the fellow's name.
Yes, you do.
Well, I don't know his first name.
Well, what's his last name?
His name's Brown.
What does he look like?
He has sandy hair and a mustache.
Where does he live?
He hangs out at a coffee joint in Huntington Park.
Anything else?
That's all I know. And I'm through talking. And I don't know anything else about it.
And Moulton refuses to talk anymore. Philkus reports the results of his interview to Inspector Davidson.
Don't you suppose it's worth anything, Inspector?
Well, it doesn't sound like much. Brown's a pretty common name.
Yeah, I know it is, but I'd kind of like to run it down, though.
I don't know how much of a good it do you looking for a sandy-haired man by the name of Brown. You'll probably find plenty of them in Huntington Park.
You know, I'd like to take Moulton along with me, and we'll check all the hotels and coffee joints. And then Moulton could identify him. That is, if there is such a guy.
You're taking a long chance. Moulton might run for it.
Why should he? I've treated him white. Why should he double-cross me?
Well, okay, if you want to accept the responsibility. You know what it means if your prisoner gets away from you. Accepting the serious responsibility of escorting an unshackled prisoner, Philkus takes Moulton with him to Huntington Park. After hours of searching the restaurants and hotels of the suburban city with no success, they are climbing the stairway of a rooming house on Randolph Street.
What's the matter with you? Come on.
I'll wait downstairs for her.
Why?
Well, I think just the guy up there by the desk. I'll see you later.
Don't you try to run out on me.
I won't, I promise.
Okay, now I want to get a look at him. I'm going to have a talk with the clerk. Is there a man named Brown living here? Why, no. What does he look like? Oh, he's a middle-aged man. First name is Harry. Nope, nobody here by that name. Okay, thanks. You see him? The guy by the desk? Yeah. Well, I got a glimpse of him. He walked down the hall just as I came up the steps. Was it Brown?
I don't know whether it was or not. It looks something like him from the back, but I'm not sure.
But Moulton will say no more. Philkus takes him back to jail. But that night,
calls on him again in his cell.
Now listen here, Bolton. I'm sick and tired of this beating around the bush. Was that Brown or wasn't it?
Well, it looked a lot like...
Was it or wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So fine. That's what I've been waiting to hear.
Wait a minute. I'm not saying he did it. Maybe he's as innocent as I am.
What's this? Well, you were pretty suspicious of him before, and now you're laying off. What's the big idea?
Well, all I know is that I overheard him and Emery talking one time, and this fellow Brown said he was a gunman, and that he knew how to handle a machine gun. And then later, Emery and I went down to the riverbed and tried out Emery's old 12-gauge shotgun. But mind you, I'm not saying he did it, though.
No, you're not, but we look into this guy, Brown, just the same.
A little past midnight, Silkus, accompanied by 2 Huntington Park patrolmen, returned to the rooming house on Randolph Street. They roused the clerk.
Well, what do you want? I'm a police officer. What room's that guy in that I saw up here this morning?
Why, he's over there. Second door to the left.
Thanks.
Better be careful. Knock first and tell him what. He says it's all right.
Thanks, I'll do that. Come on, boys. A friend of Whitey's. Let me in.
Oh, just a minute till I get something on.
Okay. All right, boys. I'll just hold it. Don't make a move, Brown. Have you got a cat around here?
What? You mean a gun? No, I haven't any.
Well, get your clothes on. You're coming with us.
Hey, what is it?
You're under arrest.
Under arrest? What for?
Suspicion of murder.
Unresisting, Brown accompanies the officers to headquarters. Questioned, he talks freely, but on the subject of the murder, he is convincingly ignorant and claims that he has met the Elves brothers only once. After 2 hours of questioning, the detectives are no further ahead than when they started. Then once more, Silkus visits Moulton in his cell.
Are you awake, Moulton?
Yeah. Did you get Brown?
Yeah, he's in the office now. He claims he only met those Elves boys once. Now listen, Ralph. I want you to do something for me. Just tell me something, anything, that'll tie him up with those Elves boys. Will you do it?
Give me a cigarette.
Here, take this whole pack here.
Thanks. Look, remind me of the time he was over at the house and him and Emery were talking about holding up that theater in Huntington Park.
Thanks, old man. That's all I need.
Armed with this information, Silkus returns to Inspector Davidson's office. For 10 minutes, he listens to the relentless grueling of Brown, and then...
Oh, for God's sake, lay off of me. Will you give me a break? You're driving me crazy. I tell you, I don't know a thing about
Look me in the eye, Brown. Now, have you told all the lies that you can think of? Are you ready to tell the truth?
Why, what do you mean?
What about the time that you and Emery Ells were over at his house playing that Huntington Park Theater holdup, huh?
No.
Well, what about it? And what about the murder of Merle Ells?
All right. I did it. Give me a pencil. I'll write a confession.
That isn't necessary, Brown. Just talk. The stenographer will take it down.
Well, I killed Merle, all right. Emery hired me to do the job. You see, we talked about the deal for a long time. A couple of months, I guess. Then Emery told me finally the other night that I'd get $2,000 for the job. Well, he took me over to the house on 99th Street and showed me the layout. He pointed out the porch where the dame slept. When we were all set, Emery gave me the gun and a flashlight. And I stole a car and drove over there. I figured it'd be a lead pipe finish. So I sneaked up to the sleeping porch and looked in. There was a woman with a kid sleeping right beside her. Gee, I hadn't figured on them being so close together. And Emery had told me that he'd kill me if I hurt the kid. Boy, I didn't know what to do. Finally, I figured if I got the dame to sit up, I wouldn't hit the kid when I let her have it. So I flashed the light in her face and said, Merle, wake up. Emily had told me her name was Merle. Well, she opened her eyes kind of sleepy-like and says, "What's the matter?" Oh, then I lost my nerve. Yeah, I didn't have the guts to shoot it. It was too easy. So I booted back the car and drove off. I guess I rode around for about, half an hour trying to dope out whether I should do it or not. Then when I felt like I could go through with it, I went back. But I lost my nerve again. She looked so young and sweet, like a little girl sleeping there. Well, I rode around some more, and I damn near made up my mind to bump myself off. I hated myself, called myself all sorts of names, and I drove like the devil, almost hoping I'd wreck the car and kill myself. And suddenly, something inside of me snapped. Everything went red and yellow behind my eyes. And I went back and let it happen. Oh, thank God I didn't hurt the kid.
Did you get the $2,000 for the job?
No. Emily double-crossed me. Just before the bump-off, I told him I was broke, and he gave me 22 dimes. Tips, I suppose. That's all I ever got.
$2.20 for a human life. Cut-rate murder, and it'll cost you your neck. A few moments later, Emery Ells is brought in to face the slayer, whose confession has entangled him in the mesh of the hideous crime. As he enters the room and sees his hireling, not a flicker of recognition crosses his impassive face. Ells, you've met this man before, I believe.
Not that I know of.
Well, you can't have forgotten this valuable friend who did you such an unusual service a few nights ago.
I never saw him before. I don't know what you're talking about.
No? Well, perhaps this statement Mr. Brown here has just made and signed will help make it clearer. Read it. I think it'll interest you.
Why, the dirty double-crossing.
Well, Ells, what do you say now?
Nothing. He said it all.
Are you willing to sign the statement that what Benjamin Brown has confessed here is true?
I guess so. That's about the way it happened.
Good. Here's the statement. Just sign your name here. There's one thing I'd like to know, Ells.
Haven't you got enough on me as it is?
Plenty. But I'm interested in the motive. Why did you want your wife out of the way?
Because I wanted the custody of the kid.
Not because of what she had on you?
Oh, she didn't have nothing on me.
Oh, well, it won't be necessary to prove that. This confession will be enough to send you up. However, in spite of their signed confession, Ells pleads not guilty when brought to trial. And Brown pleads not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity. Ells is tried first. His attorney jumps to his feet when Emery's confession is introduced into the record.
Your Honor, I move that statement be stricken from the record. Upon what grounds do you base your motion? My client was starved, kicked, and beaten over a period of 4 days in order to sweat that confession out of him. This is no document of truth. It is a scroll of torture. Are you prepared to prove your statement? I am, Your Honor.
Working fast to meet this unexpected move on the part of the defense, Prosecutor Bonner Richardson subpoenas George White, a reporter for the City News Service.
Now, Mr. White, will you tell the court the circumstances of your interview with the defendant?
I interviewed Ells and Brown a few minutes after they had made their confessions to the detective.
Where did this interview take place?
In Inspector Davidson's office.
Well, what was the attitude of the prisoners?
Both of them talked freely, voluntarily admitted to crime.
Were there any marks of violence upon the defendant when you interviewed him?
None whatever.
Absolutely positive?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. White. Your witness.
With the aid of the newspaper reporter, Ells' confession was admitted to the record. And with the aid of the newspaper reporter, Ells' confession was admitted to the records, and on January the 8th, 1931, he was found guilty of first-degree murder by a jury which recommended life in prison. On January 12, 1931, he was sentenced to San Quentin for life. Brown, although he threw himself on the mercy of the courts with a plea of guilty, received the death penalty on January 16, 1931. And on July 14th that same year, he was hanged by the neck until dead. Spring in the Pacific Southwest. Nature is now most lavish with her beauty in Southern California and Arizona. Now is the time to enjoy your car. But be sure that your car is properly conditioned, properly fueled and lubricated. Why not rely on the proven performance of Rio Grande Crack with tetraethyl, the official gasoline of police and fire departments? You'll enjoy those easy, flowing miles at a lower cost with Crack. Lubrication is very important now. Why not try Rio Grande Crack's companion product, Sinclair Opaline Motor Oil? While Sinclair Opaline Motor Oil costs no more than ordinary oils, it is of superior quality because it has been subjected to certain refining processes seldom used by other manufacturers.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars, attention all cars, cancellation broadcast 20. Suspect in the cut rate murder, now in custody. That's all. Rose and Cliff.
Tonight's episode of Calling All Cars was prepared by Madeline Kelly from the files of the Los Angeles Police Department. This is Frederick Lindsley speaking for the Rio Grande Oil Company. This is the Don Lee Broadcasting System.
Police calling all cars, attention all cars, broadcast 21 regarding a murder. The mutilated body of a young woman had been found on Montecito Street. That's all. Rose and Cliff.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to let you overhear a conversation between an inquisitive young man and an officer of one of the 262 Los Angeles radio cars.
Gee, I'd like to have a job like yours.
Well, Sonny, it does get kind of exciting sometimes.
How long does it take you to get to a holdup or something? After Rosenquist tells you about it over the radio.
Well, they tell us at headquarters that it takes an average time of about 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
Boy, oh boy, that's traveling.
Pretty fast, all right. Lots faster than sure since they let us put this Rio Grande Crack gasoline in our tanks.
This conversation might have occurred in many other cities and counties in Southern California and Arizona. You, too, can get this police car performance for your car at no extra cost by switching to Rio Grande Crack with tetraethyl. Just try a tank full tomorrow. Tonight, Chief James E. Davis of the Los Angeles Police Department has brought as his guest a distinguished peace officer whom he will introduce. Chief Davis.
Good evening, friends. In a recent statement broadcast throughout the state by Clarence Morrow, Chief of the State Bureau of Criminal Identification, the fact was made known for the first time in the history of the state that major crime is being reduced throughout California mainly as a result of better police methods and greater cooperation between peace officers. Tonight we bring you a story which tells more plainly than words how far-reaching the hand of the law really is, and which indicates the extent to which peace officers throughout the world cooperate with one another in order that justice may be made to prevail. In this city and county, the police department and the sheriff's office are the two law enforcement agencies constantly at work to protect your property and lives. The need for cooperation between these organizations is self-evident, and it affords me great pleasure to bring to you tonight the head of the sheriff's office, Sheriff Gene Bisculew, who played such an important part in the investigation of the crime and escape of Clara Phillips. I am happy to introduce to our radio audience, Gene.
Thanks, Jim. Good evening, friends. It is a pleasure for me this evening to be the guest of my friend, Chief Jim Davis of the Los Angeles Police Department. In past programs over this radio station, Chief Davis has assured you that there is always a perfect cooperation between the various law enforcement agencies in our county, as he did this evening. And I want to confirm these statements because in my 27 years' experience, I have never known a more harmonious relationship to exist between the different departments in police work. While the sheriff of a county has local jurisdiction in law enforcement matters, his responsibilities are not wholly limited to the boundaries of the county. It sometimes happens that he must assume responsibility in cases which take him into other parts of the state or country, and sometimes even into distant foreign lands. In the story which will be given you tonight, one of these cases is presented. It was necessary to follow the flight of a fugitive from Los Angeles to the Central American country of Honduras. In fact, this case was publicized in nearly every part of the world before the criminal was finally located. The United States has extradition treaties with other countries, and it often rests upon the sheriff of the county where the crime was committed to secure proper papers from Washington and serve them upon the government where the fugitive has taken refuge. This is not always a simple task, but I'm going to let you judge that for yourselves as you listen to the following program.
Thank you, Sheriff Bisculew. It is July 12th, 1922. Clara Phillips, attractive young matron, and her friend Betty Maple are in an automobile parked at the entrance of a downtown bank.
Bring me up soon.
She wouldn't come out if she knew what she was waiting for.
I'll say she wouldn't. We'll teach her to play around with other women's husbands.
Give her a scare she'll be forgetting a long time. That handle was a good idea.
Yeah, but we ought to use it on her. The little tramp.
Hey, do you still feel those drinks as much as I do?
Sure. That stuff stays with you.
Isn't that her coming out now? Look, over there.
Yeah, that's all right. Alberta! Oh, Alberta! Alberta Meadows! Oh, hello, Clara. Hello, Betty. Oh, come on, Alberta. Jump in. Let's go places. Okay. What are you stopping here for? You'll find out, you dirty little homewrecker. Clara, what do you mean? Get that Betty. What do I mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
I don't understand. Well, I'll tell you. I mean my husband. That's what I mean. You gotta let him alone. Do you get that?
Oh, you must be crazy, Clara. There's nothing between Alma and me.
I know different.
But I tell you there's Shut up and listen. You can't come into my friend's house.
Oh, you're both drunk. There's no use talking to you. Don't let her get get out of the car.
She won't get away.
Let go of me. Let me go, I say. You're going to listen to us. I can have you arrested for this. Give me that thing, Betty. I'll teach her a lesson. Let go of me. Take that. Maybe armor will like you better with a black eye. You dirty little pimp. Don't hit me again. I'll beat you to a pulp. You're wrong about armoring me. Don't.
Late that same afternoon, Mrs. Fred A. Veit is driving past the lonely spot on Montecito Street in the Lincoln Heights district when she is horrified to see the battered body of a young woman lying at the side of the road. She reports her gruesome discovery to the police, and Officers Hill and Corcoran hurry to the scene, followed closely by Lieutenant Hagenbaugh and Sergeant Ross. A degenerate fiend is suspected, and a county-wide search is instituted to capture him. But meanwhile, in the office of Attorney John D. Haas, in the California building...
Mr. Phillips to see you. Mr. Haas.
Show him in, please. Hello, Armour. How's things?
I'm in an awful jam, John. I need your advice.
Why, what's the matter?
John, you know that girl they found murdered?
Yes?
That's Alberta Meadows. Clara killed her.
What?
It's impossible, Armour.
Clara couldn't.
She did. She told me. It's insane, I know, but she was terribly jealous. What am I going to do, John? What can I do?
There's only one thing to do.
You mean to?
Of course. I mean surrender.
No, but I can't.
You've got to, Armour.
No, John.
Now listen. Gene Biscuiluz, the undersheriff, is a good friend of mine. We're going up and talk to him right now.
Clara Phillips, meanwhile, has boarded a train bound for Mexico. But the sheriff's office sends out a description of her, and she is taken from the train to Tucson. Sheriff Traeger swears in his wife as a special deputy in accordance with the law requiring a woman police officer to transport a woman prisoner. Together they journey to Tucson and bring Clara back to Los Angeles for trial. Clara and Betty each accuse the other of the actual killing. But in court, Betty turns state's evidence. And upon her testimony, Clara Phillips is found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to San Quentin. Her case is appealed, and she is held in the old county jail awaiting the decision of the higher court. But the case of Clara Phillips has only begun, for Clara does the seemingly impossible and escapes. The whole country rings with the name of Clara Phillips. The sergeant's office contacts every police department in the world in an effort to apprehend her. Investigators learn that a man named Johnson has effected her escape and fled with her. The Los Angeles Examiner contributes large sums of money to aid in the work of sending her pictured likeness into the far corners of the earth. But Clara Phillips seems to have dropped out of existence. Nevertheless, the sheriff's office continues its blind, apparently fruitless search for her. Then a clue comes.
Pardon me, Sheriff. Here's something on the Phillips case.
What is it, another nut letter?
It's from a feller in well.
Here, let me have it. Tegucigalpa. That's the capital of Honduras, isn't it, Gene?
That's right.
You read it. Biscuiluz should know more Spanish than a Traeger.
Well, I'll try it. Let's see. Hey, this looks like something.
What is it, Gene?
Wait till I get the rest of it. This chap's a government clerk down there, and he's reporting 2 American girls and a man.
The other girl would be Clara's sister. It isn't just coincidence that she disappeared right after Clara did.
Right. He says he particularly noticed them because they wore riding breeches. That apparently caused a sensation among the conservative Spaniards. He's compared the girl with the picture on our poster, and he's convinced that she's Clara Phillips.
So the road leads to Honduras. We'll wire the Honduran police to hold the suspects in custody and send us their fingerprints for verification.
The art of fingerprinting is unknown in Honduras. So the sheriff is unable to obtain definite proof that the suspect held in the Central American Republic is actually Clara Phillips. However, acting upon the chance that she is, Under Sheriff Biscaluse, Walter Hunter, senior deputy of the homicide squad, and Mrs. Biscaluse, sworn in as a special deputy, make the long and arduous trip to Honduras to claim the prisoner. They arrive in the sleepy little capital of Tegucigalpa to find a temporary government in power as a result of one of the not infrequent revolutions. Accompanied by Zuniga Huerta, the Honduran Minister of Justice, they hasten to the quarters above the office of the Commandante of Police, where Clara and her sister, Mary Jane Edwards, are held.
Who is it?
It is I, Senor Huerta. May I crave the audience with you, gracious lady?
Oh, yes, senor. Come in.
Buenos dias, senora. I have brought with me two gentlemen who say they are the old friends of yours.
Hello, Clara. And Mary Jane. Well, you girls are a sight for sore eyes.
Senor, who are these men?
They say they are the friends, that they know you from Los Angeles.
Why, I never saw them before in my life.
Senores, if you have been fooling me...
Oh, that's an old dodge, Senor Huerta. Clara can't get away with it long. She knows it's all right.
Senor Huerta, I demand that you take these strangers from my quarters at once.
Well, so prisoners can make demands in this country.
Come, gentlemen, there must be some mistake. And I might say I am angry that you have betrayed my confidence in you.
Come on, Senor. Let's cut the comic opera stuff. Listen, Clara, I want you to know that we're glad we found Mary Jane with you. Now the mystery of that jailbreak is explained.
Why, you...
Yes, Clara, you know what a stretch Mary Jane can get for aiding a fugitive from justice.
Listen, you can't pin anything on Mary Jane. She didn't help me escape from the...
I thought you'd blurt it out, Clara. Well, Senor, have we made a mistake? You've heard the lady's own confession.
Even so, I am not convinced of the lady's guilt.
Oh, is that so? Well, how have you determined her innocence?
Very simple. Anyone with such a charming sister could not be guilty.
A handy thing to have a sister, eh, Clara?
Yeah.
You don't understand. Senor Waite has been very kind. He's been a very good friend of ours.
Muchas gracias. I am happy to hear you say that, senorita.
Nevertheless, Senor Huerta, we're going to take these ladies back to California with us.
So, there is the little matter you gentlemen forget. The extradition papers have not yet arrived from Washington. The mails are so slow from the court.
Very well, we'll wait.
Well, you may wait a long time.
Okay with us, Clara. But when we go back, you're going with us, and so is Mary Jane.
My sister didn't do anything.
I know that, Clara. And I know something else. It was a guy by the name of Johnson. Where is he?
Oh, he got arrested as a revolutionist.
Can't keep out of trouble, eh? How long had you known him before he sprung you, Clara?
I never saw him before he put that ladder up to my cell window and sawed the bars.
What was the big idea, then?
He just thought I was innocent and wanted to help me.
Well, that doesn't sound very likely.
Well, it's true.
We can look into that when we go back.
Oh, not when we go back, Sheriff. If we go back.
The days pass. The Los Angeles officers learn that they are in a precarious position. Zuniga Huerta is openly opposed to them. The president of Honduras is friendly to them, but ineffectual. He retires to his ranch whenever a crisis arises. Waiting becomes intolerable, but still the extradition papers fail to arrive. The American minister, Franklin Morales, visits the barracks with the Los Angeles sheriff's office.
Well, when it rains down here, it certainly comes down hard.
When you've been down here as long as I have, you'll think this is a shower. You're in the tropics now, you know.
Well, I wish we were on our way back to Los Angeles.
Oh, we're in no hurry. Are we, Mary Jane? For Los Angeles. But I'd like to go away from here. This place frightens me.
Is it the place or Huerta who frightens you?
Well, I should like him for all he's done for her. But when he looks at me, I feel sick.
Oh, don't be silly, honey.
Come in.
Good evening.
It's a wet evening.
Nevertheless, it is a very good evening for the two so charming ladies.
Well, what do you mean, senor?
All day long I have been debating, and I have arrived at the decision. I shall hold you here no longer. You are at liberty to leave.
Oh, really, Senor Waity? Thank you, Senor.
Oh, it is nothing.
But you can't do this, waiter.
But I am doing it, senor.
But the law.
I am the law, senor. These ladies are free to leave the barrack.
Well, you won't go very far tonight.
Why not?
Look out the window. The rain's coming down in sheets, and the street's a river of mud.
Well, we've been here long enough that one more night won't kill us. But we'll leave in the morning.
Perhaps that is better. In the morning, when the rain has stopped, I shall personally escort you to the hotel. And now, buenos noches. And do not look so angry with me, my friend. One must be gallant to a lady, no?
Well, what are we going to do now?
I don't know, Gene.
There's only one thing to do, boys.
What's that, Morales?
Get her out of here tonight. Extradition papers or no extradition
Oh,
papers.
no, you don't.
Oh, yes, we do. Now, listen here, Clara. We haven't got extradition papers, so we can't take you without your permission. But you're going to give us that permission right now.
Hey, you think I'm crazy?
No, you're going to be sensible.
Look at it this way, Clara. We've got nothing against you personally. We've passed no judgment. We aren't concerned with whether you're innocent or guilty. But you've been convicted in California, and it's our job, our duty to bring you back there. And that's what we've got to do.
What do I care about your duty? I'm not going.
Oh, yes, you are. And here's why. You have no money, have you?
Not much.
All right, get this. When the extradition papers come, you're going to with us, Hawaii or no Hawaii. Mr. Morales will back me up in saying that once we get those papers, Washington will raise holy Cain with Waity until he has to give you up.
That's right, Clara.
Now, we have nothing against Mary Jane, and we have no official funds to take her back to California. If you come with us now, we'll take Mary Jane along. But if you complicate things, we'll leave her here, where Senor Hawaii will probably continue his gallant attentions to her.
Oh, you wouldn't leave me here alone. I'd die.
Think it over, Clara. It's tough for an attractive young American girl stranded in the tropics. You've probably seen the women around the cantinas.
Well, not Mary Jane. Clara, I'm afraid.
Okay, boys. You win. I'll go with you.
That's the stuff, Clara. You play ball with us, and we'll make things as easy as possible for you and Mary Jane. What's the next move, Mr. Morales?
You'll have to work fast. There's a lot to do. Now, this rain will be over by morning. You better plan to leave at daylight for the coast. There's only a few automobiles in the town. I'll take care of hiring two of the fastest. They'll probably cost $500.
Ooh, that's pretty steep rental.
I know it. You've got to pay off in all directions down here. How about the local police force?
Those ragged, barefoot Indians?
You can be killed just as dead by a barefoot Indian as by anyone else, Walter.
Right you are, Biscaluse. We'll have to do something about them.
Let's hire them to be our guard.
What do you mean?
I've got an idea. They've been laughing at me for packing a flock of old deputy badges around. But I think I've got a use for them.
I don't follow you.
Well, watch. Hey, you. Yes, you. There, with you, all of you. Venga, cheese and sus compadres. Look, Gene, did you ever see a group of men like that in all your life?
Never.
Mis amigos. Senor Morales y Senor Biscaluse and I have just been saying that you're as fine a bunch of police officers as we've ever seen. Comprendes? Felicias, buenas? Well, anyhow, we certainly wish we had you working for the county of Los Angeles.
Hey, what's this?
You see, my friend agrees with me. You see this badge?
Oh, see, it is good badge, senor. No?
Well, if you worked for the county of Los Angeles, each of you would have a badge like this. And the county of Los Angeles would pay you well. $50 a day. Un peso cada dia. Un peso cada dia. And I just wanted you to know that we recognize fine policemen when we see them.
Senor, we would like very much to work for the county of Los Angeles.
You would?
Si.
Fine. Here are your badges. Now, we leave for Puerto Cortez at daybreak. You come with us. You be our guard. Partiremos por la mañana.
Stealing out of Tegucigalpa at daybreak, the oddly assorted party slowly makes its way along the tortuous, mud-rutted highway toward the coast. Over rocky mountain passes and through reeking jungles, they push the laboring automobiles. At one point of the exhausting journey, they are ambushed by hostile natives. But finally, the squat building Puerto Cortez appear at the water's edge beneath. Eager to reach the comforts of a hotel, they increase their speed.
Uh-oh.
What's the matter?
Guy with a gun in the center of the road, flagging us.
Ariete! Ariete! Well, In the name of the Republic of Honduras.
What's the matter?
These ladies, they are Senora Philip, the Senorita Edwards.
Yes, they are.
They are to be placed under arrest.
Who says so?
The Minister of Justice. I have a telegram from Zuniga Huete. His instructions are very clear. The ladies are to be held in a more prison, so that you gentlemen may be relieved of guarding them, and you may view our beautiful harbor.
Gee, this looks bad.
Yeah.
Unless it's far for time. Oh, Senor Capitan.
Eh?
As you can see, the ladies are very tired. Won't you permit them to retire to the hotel for a while?
Well, I do not know, senor. It is very irregular. Very well. But I shall accompany them, for they are under arrest in the name of the Republic of Honduras.
Sheriff Discaluz and the American consul in Puerto Cortez immediately wire the American minister in Tegucigalpa, who gets the order to place the women in a war prison countermanded. Instead, Sarah and her sister are held under guard at the hotel. Their guard is the same officer who had stopped them on the road. During the day, he consumes quantities of Tecalpa. And that night in the hotel cantina, he acts the gallant with Clara.
Senora Philip, you are a most beautiful woman. The most beautiful woman in the world.
Get a load of flattery. I wonder what he wants.
Senora, I would be honored if you would come to my hacienda in the hills as my guest.
Oh, Senor Capitan, but I am under arrest.
Senora, I will tell you a secret. You are not under arrest any longer. The Supreme Court of Honduras, but this afternoon, released you on a writ of habeas corpus.
You hear that, Walter?
Yes.
We've got to work fast. We've got to get her to sign a waiver.
Yes, but how?
I've got an idea. Come on. Oh, Clara,
Yes?
will you
Yes?
step out on the porch a moment? I want to talk to you.
Oh, very well. Pardon me, Senor Capitan.
Ay, Dios mío. I died without your friends.
Clara, I heard what that monkey said.
Yeah, well, what of it? You can't touch me now. I'm free.
Yes, I understand that, Clara. But I want you to come back to Los Angeles with us willingly.
Do you think I'm crazy?
You're crazy if you don't.
Listen, Clara. You haven't much dough, and you can't go very far. No matter where you do go, Walter and I will be right with you. We'll extradite you from any country in the world. We'll hound you. If you refuse to leave here, I'll send my wife back to Los Angeles and stay right here near you. If you go to another country, I'll follow you. I'll have you extradited. I'll stick on your trail for the rest of my life.
Yes, but you...
There isn't any but about it, Clara. That's what you've got facing you. Sure, Whitey likes you and your sister. Now, he'll get tired of you. And the government will change, and then you'll be out in the cold. If you ask me, you're picking a devil of a life to lead.
Oh, maybe you're right, but you can't make me go.
I know that.
You know?
But you'll wish you had. Life down here with the law after you won't be much fun. Well, what do you say?
Well,
Come on,
well,
give me your answer, Clara.
I'll tell you what I'll do, Sheriff. I'll go with you.
Fine, now you're being sensible.
But on two conditions.
What are they?
First, that you'll tell everyone that I came back of my own free will.
Certainly.
And second, that if I come up for parole, you won't stand in my way of getting it.
I promise, Clara.
Then, it's a bargain.
The following morning, arrangements are made to return on a fruit boat sailing that day. The loading is hurried so that no more technical slips of the amazing government of Honduras may detain the departure. Finally, there remains but the detail of paying off the private army Sheriff Hunter has hired. He lines up the motley crowd on the wharf.
They are the key, mis soldados. Attention! We are going to return to Los Angeles, and so we will pay you your money now. You have been very good soldiers. You may keep your badges.
But, senor, we wish to go back to the Los Angeles with you.
I'm sorry, my friends. There's no more room on the boat.
Oh, but we will sleep on the deck, senor. We will guard you in the Los Angeles.
I'm afraid we cannot take you, amigos.
But, senor, we like to work in the county of Los Angeles. Yes.
Show me them, Walter. They turn on us now, we're sunk.
Amigos, I have a duty you must still perform for the county of Los Angeles.
What is this, Juan
It
Senor?
is very important. You must guard the wharf until the boat has sailed. And if you'll do that, well, maybe someday we can send for you.
Oh, see, all right. We guard the work, Senor. And we wait for you.
Well, that's that. Come on, Clara. Come on, Mary Jane. We're off for Los Angeles at last.
One more ludicrous incident in the bizarre story of the capture of Clara Phillips occurred when the ship on which she was being brought back to the United States was detained at New Orleans on suspicion of being a rum runner. However, when this complication was solved, Clara Phillips was quickly transported to San Quentin Prison, whence she was transferred to the new woman's prison at Tehachapi. The arm of the law is long. It is tireless. It is positive in its final effect. The ingenuity of the hunted criminal, who has all society against him, calls for the highest type of resourcefulness and intelligence in the peace officers who guard the interests of you citizens and the Los Angeles Police Department, as including some of the finest detectives in the world.
Thank you, Chief Davis. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time of year when car owners in Southern California and Arizona can get the most pleasure out of their machines. There are mountains, deserts, beaches, lakes. In fact, almost any beauty of nature is within short driving distance. But to make these trips easier on you and your car, why not switch to Rio Grande cracked gasoline with tetraethyl? The gasoline that has proved its superiority by the fact that it powers more police cars, ambulances, fire engines, motorcycles, and other emergency equipment in Southern California and Arizona than all other brands combined. For best results with crack, may we suggest that you try Sinclair Opaline Motor Oil. This great oil comes to you in tamper-proof, extra-measure cans. It is extra refined to give you longer life, yet costs only 25 cents per quart, the price of ordinary bulk oil.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars, attention all cars, cancellation broadcast 21. The murderer of Alberto Meadows now in custody. That's all. Rosenquist.
This is Frederick Lindsley saying good night.
Police calling all cars, attention all cars, broadcast 22. Special investigator from the narcotics squad. Working a Japanese dope deal alone. Lay off, boys. That's all. Rosenquist.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we take a minute and dramatize for you an episode that might have occurred at any downtown intersection this morning. We have entitled it Embarrassing Moment. And the cast includes Mr. Jones and the traffic officer on the corner. Listen.
Darn it, this is the 5th time today the blame thing has failed to start.
Hey, can't you get going? You're holding up about 40 cars. What's the matter?
Well, she stalled. The 5th time today. I got a new battery. I had the plugs clean and the ignition's okay.
Here, I'll help you push it over to the side. Ever tried Rio Grande crack?
No. What about it?
All I know is the boys in the radio cars sure rave about it. They use it in their own cars.
Yeah? Well, that sounds like the answer. I'll fill it with cracks right away.
And we are sure that Mr. Jones' troubles are over if he switched to Rio Grande crack. For crack powers more police cars and fire engines in Southern California and Arizona than all other brands combined. Again, it is our pleasure to introduce Chief James E. Davis of the Los Angeles Police Department, through whose public-spirited cooperation these police dramas are brought to you. Chief Davis.
Good evening, friends. It takes courage to be a policeman. Not the same sort of courage which makes it possible for a man surrounded by an army of his fellows to go victoriously over the top to glory, but individual courage, the sort of stuff which makes it possible for one man alone to single-handedly face death. The story we bring to you tonight concerns just that sort of fearlessness on the part of one of our men. A typical illustration of the sort of courage shown by the men who every day protect your life and property. The remarkable story I have brought to the air for you tonight concerns the narcotic traffic in this state and reveals how one man, instilled with the same characteristics which we demand of all of our police officers, broke up and arrested the ringleaders of one of the largest narcotic traffic rings in our history. Professor Lindsley will now go on with the story.
Beware of the Ides of March. Such was the cryptic warning received by Julius Caesar centuries ago. On the Ides of March 2,000 years later, that same warning might well have been given to another brave man facing treachery and danger as great as that which Caesar met on the floor of the Roman Senate. His name is Fitwood, and he's a member of the narcotics squad of the police department. On the Ides of March 1926, when our story opened, he and his colleagues had been staked out for 2 weeks in a downtown apartment house. 24 hours a day, the officers have taken turns listening to the dictaphone, which is connected with the adjoining apartment occupied by Carolyn Hamer, an underworld contact woman whom they suspect of being in touch with dope operatives. The 2 weeks of patient waiting has failed to uncover anything of importance, and Captain Fitwood is rather discouraged as he returns once more to the stakeout.
Well, Garrigan, heard anything interesting on that dictaphone in the last hour?
Not to me. Hamer talked to a couple of dames on the phone. At least it sounded like she was talking to women. All about some bender they're going on to Caliente. None about getting a hairdress.
Well, I'll wear the canvas for a while now. You go on out and get something to eat.
Okay, Cap. Well, I hope you have more luck than I did. I'll listen, but I couldn't seem to get anything.
Hey, wait a minute.
Is she talking?
Yeah. There's somebody in the apartment with her. Get a load of this, Gallagher. It's hot.
You will pardon me, Miss Hamer, for disturb you.
Who are you?
Oh, my name does not matter. What she will do. I am here because it is my understanding that you are in touch with certain people that my employer like to reach.
What's your racket?
Oh, my partner has unusual large shipment of his merchandise to dispose of very suddenly. His usual buyer cannot take all of surplus which he has imported on his trip. He is desirous
Wait a minute. I don't know who you are or who sent you here. But get this straight. I don't have anything to do with dope. Nothing. Understand?
Oh, I think you are a little premature, my dear Miss Himmer.
Oh, don't, my dear me. Dope's out of my line that stays out, and that's final.
Oh, please. Dope is not quite word. Let us say merchandise.
I don't care how you say it or what you do with it. I'm out of the deal.
Oh, yes, but just think 1 minute, please. All I am suggesting, you ask friend who engage in our business to buy shipment of $100,000 worth of excellent merchandise. You merely tell him to meet us 8:30 tomorrow night at corner of 8th and Santee. That is all you do. $5,000 is lot of money for such service.
Hey, when would I get the money?
When you tell me gentleman's name, I shall leave with you $1,000. When the gentleman give us his valued business, 4,000 more shall come to you.
Make it 2,000 now.
Oh, very well, as you will. You know, of course, that the late and highly revered Mr. George Kraut met his unfortunate death by curious coincidence. Just after he tried leaving town without completing a bargain he had previously arranged.
Oh, don't try to scare me. I'll fix it. I know a man who can swing the sale.
Oh, splendid. His name, please?
Jordan. He operates in Hollywood. High-class stuff.
Oh, excellent, yeah.
And you can trust him. He's been in the racket for 10 years.
Oh, that is fine. Will you ask Mr. Jordan to be on northwest corner of 8th Santee Street tomorrow night? I will approach him, then ask him to stretching out hand and say, my name Jordan. I will then say, very well, Miss Jordan, I have been waiting for you. That is all we need to say to know each other.
8:30, northwest corner of 8th and Santee Street. Sticks hand out and says, my name's Jordan.
Yeah.
You say, very well, Mr. Jordan, I've been waiting for you.
Oh, that is quite correct.
And if you meet Jordan and you make the sale, I get the other 3,000?
Oh, yes, sir. Here is $2,000. And remember...
Say, don't worry. He'll be there.
I thank you, Miss Hammer. I trust all work out well.
Well, so do I. So long.
Oh, thank you. Good evening. This evening, very good.
Listen, Gallagher. You know where Junkie Jordan hangs out?
Yeah. At Blackie's joint on Sunset Boulevard.
Well, beat it to headquarters and get Murphy. Then go out to Blackie's and pick up Jordan. Book him on any... Pick up Jordan. Book him on any charge you like and hold him incommunicado for 72 hours.
Yeah, but where are you going to be?
Well, for a couple of days, I'm going to be Mr. Junkie Jordan. On the following night, Captain Chitwood removes all identification from himself, leaves his revolver behind, and depending entirely upon his wits, he hires a big Cadillac sedan and drives to the corner of 8th and Santee Street. He arrives a little early, parks his car, and lounges on the northwest corner of the intersection. He sees a big car drive up, and an Oriental get out and walk over toward him. My name's Jordan.
Oh, yes, very well. Miss Jordan, I have been waiting for you.
Shall we take my car?
If you will come with me, please. We may chat more comfortable inside. After you.
Where are we going?
To a mall.
Going.
To a mall. This huge spot, Mr. Jordan. You don't mind?
No.
You don't mind?
No. Block after block and mile after mile, the Japanese drive Captain Chitwood. The ride continues in utter silence. Finally, in an intensely dark spot, somewhere in the east side of town...
Oh, Mr. Jordan, you won't mind...
Hey, what is this? Here, wait a minute.
Oh, 1,000 apologies. I do not like to search one I feel is friend, but we must be careful.
Wait a minute here. Didn't Amos vouch for me?
Oh, indeed, yes, but...
Well, I can tell you right now, I don't like being searched.
How do I know this isn't a frame-up?
Oh, it is unfortunate that we must necessarily distrust each other until we are sure. But how long have you been in business, Mr. Jordan?
About 10 years.
Oh, I see. You know nothing of stuff we wish to sell?
Nothing, except that you've priced it around $100,000.
Oh, there has been change in figure. We believe we have made arrangement to dispose of greater part of shipment to a Chinese client of ours. The remainder we sell for $4,000.
What is it?
Cocaine.
Uh-oh. Not so good. Doesn't sell like morphine.
Oh, but it is...
Doesn't sell like morphine.
Oh, but it is...
Sell like morphine.
Oh, but it is very superior shipment. I'm sure you will agree that it is not ordinary.
How much have you got?
Oh, 90 ounces lot we wish to sell.
$4,000 for 90 ounces. Too high. 90 ounces. Too high. 90 ounces. Too high. I get small shipments for 20% less than that.
Oh, but as I say, this cocaine is much higher grade than you find on the market.
The best cocaine on the market isn't worth that price.
Oh, I differ with you, Mr. Jordan. But since my employer and I are most anxious to return home, we will concede your point. It happened we have additional 22 ounces. These two we include for 4,000.
Well, that's more like it. But how do I know it's as good as you claim?
Oh, possibly we should meet with my partner.
Where is your partner?
Waiting for us a little further down the street.
Again, the winding drive begins. For 10 minutes, Washi twists and turns through the neighborhood. Then he parks again just behind a Ford coupe.
We are agreed then, Mr. Jordan, on 112 ounce at the price of $4,000, providing our cocaine sample.
Shut up. There's a guy in the car ahead. You want us both to land in the pens?
Oh, no, I fancy that's my partner.
Oh.
Will you come with me?
Sure.
All right. Sir?
Sure.
All right. Mr. Jordan, may I present the Count?
How do you do, Count?
This is a pleasure, Mr. Jordan, and an honor. We hope to do business with you.
I hope to get this set with you, Count.
You have been in this business some time.
10 years.
You won't mind answering a few questions.
Certainly not.
What is the source of morphine?
It's made from opium.
And the source of opium?
Poppies.
And the difference in the mechanics of using these drugs?
You use a needle with morphine, you smoke opium.
Are there any other drugs made from opium?
Heroin. And you can use a needle on it or sniff it up your nose.
You seem to know your business.
I do, Count.
My partner, Huashe, has explained that you struck a very good bargain with him.
Your price is too high, Count. I know this market, and I know it cold. I'm paying you a good price as it is.
It is a very superior cocaine that I am selling you.
Well, I'd like to see a sample before we make final arrangements.
Of course. I have one here. Take this, Mr. Jordan.
You ought to be careful carrying that stuff around. You never know when you're talking to a cop. It's cocaine, all right. Looks pretty good. I'd like to make a laboratory test with some of it.
You may have the sample.
Oh, I don't want to carry that much. Give me a pinch to put in my handkerchief here. There. That's plenty.
But you are satisfied without the test to make final arrangements.
Oh, yes. I can see it's good stuff.
Will you bring the money and bills of various denominations?
Yes, but I'll have to bring a lot of big ones. I've got my money in a Hollywood bank, and I don't like to ask for that much dough in little bills. It'd look suspicious.
Any way you chose.
It looks suspicious. Little bills. It'd look suspicious.
Any way you chose. You will meet me at 10 tomorrow morning at 9th and Santee Street.
10? What is this, a gag? My bank doesn't open till 10. You know that.
Pardon. I have made an error. At 11?
I can make it at 11.
Splendid. At 11 tomorrow.
Captain Chitwood returns to his office elated over the prospects of defeating the newly discovered dope ring. While he realizes the dangers that confront him if he continues his single-handed attempt to bring the Orientals to trial, he determines to go ahead at any cost. He determines to go ahead at any cost to trap his prey. He secures such funds as the Narcotic Bureau has available for purposes of buying illicit drugs to capture criminals. And with his own savings and some borrowed capital, he amasses about $5,000. This is planted in a briefcase in such a manner as to suggest that $100,000 has been stuffed into the container. A precaution taken in case the peddlers still have for sale the original amount of narcotics. On the following morning at 11, Captain Chitwood is waiting for the Count and his friend. A block down the street is a police car. Watching the traffic.
Good morning, Count.
Won't you get in, my friend?
Thank you.
You have your car here.
Right over in that parking lot.
And the money?
Here. Look at this.
Put it away, my dear Mr. Jordan. You must not show quite so much money in public. One might suspect.
Oh, nobody could see it.
It is well to be careful, Mr. Jordan. I will drop you back at your corner. You will take your car and follow me.
Okay. But I'd like to ask one question. Are we going far?
Why do you ask?
Well, I came down in such a hurry that I didn't buy gasoline. And if we're going any distance, I'd like to pick up some here in town. So there won't be any chance of our losing each other.
I suggest that you buy some gasoline.
All right. Look, I'll pull into that gas station over there. Then I'll drive up 9th Street and you pull ahead of me. I'll follow you from there on.
Very well.
Captain Chitwood gets in his car and drives into the gas station. Another automobile pulls alongside, ostensibly to get gas. The captain gets out of his and walks to the radiator to fill his water tank. As he does so, his partner, Detective Lieutenant Murphy, gets out of the other car and walks up to him.
Don't look at me, Murphy. He's watching. And don't follow us. This is a one-man job.
Having stopped the police car from following him, Captain Chitwood drives behind the Count's car on and on through the city. On out through Boyle Heights, into the sparsely settled country toward the valley. The Count twists and turns to throw any pursuers off the track. But Captain Chitwood realizes that there will be no pursuers. He has cut the last line of communication between him and the force. It is up to him now. He has his badge in a pouch of tobacco and a small police revolver strapped high on the inside of his leg. On these and his whip, he relies entirely. Finally, the Count arrives in a lonely area and drives over a field toward a steep hill. At the bottom of the hill, he stops his car and waits for Captain Chitwood. This the place?
Yes, Mr. Jordan. But first,
Here. How many times do you have to search me? I told Washy last night I don't carry a rod.
So I see, but one must always be careful. Now you and I must drive up this hill in your car.
Pretty steep.
Still, you can make it easily.
I'll try. But lay off this searching business. It gives me the willies.
I am sorry. It is part of the business.
As Captain Chitwood pilots the heavy car up the steep hillside, he sees another automobile parked at the top. The hill surveys all the surrounding country. One could not come within a mile of it without being seen. He mentally congratulates himself for stopping the police car from following him. Then he sees Washi, and with him another Japanese who is a stranger to him. The newcomer is a giant in size, 6 feet tall, with tremendous bulging muscles. The captain suddenly realizes that difficulties lie ahead. They park the car and meet Washi and the newcomer.
You know Washi, Mr. Jordan, and this is Koto, a friend who can be very, very helpful in many ways.
He looks like he could eat a regiment. Speak English, Koto?
Oh, sure speak English. Oh, yes, speak English.
Well, that's fine. Glad to meet you, Koto.
Very glad to meet you, Mr. Jordan. Very glad.
Now, before we conclude our little deal, I would like to know if you could handle some more of my business in this territory.
Not right now. This is eating up all my capital.
I do not mean now. As soon as we have finished with our bargain, I return to Japan. But each 2 years I come into your city. I like you, Mr. Jordan. I would like to do business with you. But could you handle the business I would bring?
How much?
I would like to bring to you each 2 years about $1 million worth of merchandise.
That's a lot of money.
Because you take it in one deal, you save a great deal of money.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a good proposition.
You risk only one purchase instead of many. And I am very careful. You need never worry over authority. Sheer accident might mean disaster, but that is all. One delivery, a low price. The finest of merchandise.
What kind of stuff can you deliver? This cocaine is all right, but
I know. It is morphine you wish, is it not?
Mm-hmm. There's a better market with morphine, quicker turnover.
Morphine I can arrange very easily.
If the deal counts, with this provision, I can't handle all the stuff myself. I'll have to form a syndicate to buy the shipment.
Of course. I will not make my next trip here for over a year. But when I do...
When you do, you'll find a market all set up for you.
Mr. Jordan, you are a good businessman.
I have to be, or I'd be out of the business quick.
It is agreed, then, for the next shipment.
Right.
Good. Pate, take Mr. Jordan's valise and count out the money. Koto and I will get the merchandise for Mr. Jordan.
Can I help carry it?
We took the precaution of hiding it down in the grasses. We will bring it up now. Pate, have you the valise?
This is in Mr. Jordan's car. I will begin the money counting.
As Swashi begins counting the money, the Count and Koto walk down the hill toward the high grasses, where they have hidden the dope shipment. Quickly, Captain Chitwood opens his tobacco pouch and takes out his police badge. Then he reaches down and grasps his revolver from the secret holster on the inside of his leg. With the badge in one hand and the revolver in the other...
Oh, Count.
Yes?
Better come back here. You've made a mistake.
A gun. What is it?
You are joking, Mr. Jordan.
No, I'm afraid you tried to sell your merchandise to the wrong man.
But this is ridiculous.
There's the badge.
Police. Get your hands up, Koto. Stand back there. Watch it.
Oh, yes, please.
Get out of that car.
Oh, yes. That's all right.
Come over here.
What for you are calling me, please?
Come over here.
Oh, I understand. I think this hijacking job, Mr. Jordan.
No, it's an arrest.
My dear Mr. Jordan, this is all a terrible mistake. You do not realize who I am. My connections, both here and in Japan, are irreproachable.
Count, you're selling dope. That's all I need to know. You're a criminal. And regardless of friends or connections, you're going where all criminals go.
I don't think so.
Think anything you like, but keep your distance.
Never
mind the chatter. Move along ahead of me. Come on, I got to be at headquarters in an hour.
I wonder.
Under the threatening revolver, Captain Chitwood forces the 3 Japanese to bring the dope up and put it in his car. Although he watches his captors with great care, he cannot but feel the constant threat of Koto's great strength. As the car is loaded, finally, he orders the 3 into the car.
Mr. Jordan, you are a human being, are you not?
Why, yes, I hope so.
Mr. Jordan, at home in Japan, I have many friends. I have a family. I have great position.
You should have thought of that before you started in this racket.
Still, you can see how much more this all means to me than to the ordinary criminal that you deal with.
I see what you mean.
In your work, Mr. Jordan, you do not make a great deal of money?
Well, it's not very much according to your standards.
A sum such as $10,000 would be quite large in your eyes.
It would be very large.
I happen to have such a sum within easy reach.
Fine, you'll be able to hire a good lawyer with it.
I was thinking of making a friend a present.
A very lucky man, I should say.
You are the friend, Mr. Jordan.
Oh? And how do I merit this friendship?
You return to the police station with the sad news that your suspect disappeared.
Sorry, Count.
That's out of my line.
$10,000 is a lot of money.
No. You'd better get in the car. Back there, Koto.
Mr. Jordan, I will give you one more chance. There are three of us. Koto here is a trained wrestler. We all know jiu-jitsu. Once we are in the car, you will be unable to manage us. True, you have a gun, but you cannot succeed in getting us to the city.
I've been thinking about that.
Let me tell you, Mr. Jordan, that you haven't a chance. But rather than come to blows with you, I suggest this plan. You will take me alone to town. You will drive me to the bank where I have $100,000 in a safety deposit vault. This you will put in your pocket. With $100,000, Mr. Jordan, you will have peace and security. You will have peace and security all your life. Is it agreed?
That's an interesting plan, Count, but I can't accept.
Then I fear for you.
Oh, don't worry about me.
I think you had better accept the Count's offer.
It is impossible that you will arrive in town alive.
Let's put it another way. Let's say that it's impossible that all of us will arrive in town alive.
I don't quite understand.
It's very simple, really. Don't you see that Koto is the main threat? How much do you weigh, Koto?
210.
When you, Count, and Washi here are carrying Koto through the fields down to where I can call a police car, you won't be very dangerous.
What for they carry me?
Because I'm going to kill you.
You cannot do that.
My dear fellow, I can and will do exactly that. Koto, unfortunately, resisted arrest. My duties as police officer, although unpleasant, was very plain. I had to shoot him. The law is quite explicit on that point.
But I'm not resisting arrest.
Oh, you have no imagination, Koto. Who'll ever know?
Come on, you will not do this thing. It is fantastic.
To show you that my gun is loaded, gentlemen, and that I mean what I say.
Must be other way. Must be other way.
We plead with you, Mr. Jordan. We have been very fair. We have offered you money. Well, you will not take it. But that is no excuse to murder one of us.
I have no desire to kill. But wait. There's one other way.
What way?
Koto will lie on the floor of my car. You two will lie on top of him with your heads at my side. If you make a false move, I'll shoot all of you. If you don't, you'll arrive safely at the station.
Tamale. Very well, Mr. Whatever your name is. You are the victor. We accept.
Into the car, then, and watch your step. This gun is liable to go off by mistake.
One hand on the wheel, the other covering his uncomfortable prisoners. Captain Chitwood transported the dope smugglers to police headquarters. They were speedily tried and speedily sentenced to 2.5 years in federal penitentiary in Leavenworth for violation of the Harrison and Jones-Miller Narcotic Acts. Since serving their time for that offense, the Count has been sentenced to Folsom on a verdict of first-degree murder. Koto has returned to Japan, and Huashi is a fugitive from justice, having jumped bond on a forgery charge. Tonight, my friends, I have asked the hero of our story to speak to you himself. I am proud to present one of the finest officers on my force, the head of the narcotics squad, Captain Chitwood.
Thank you, Chief. Ladies and gentlemen, there isn't much I can add to the story. You have already heard. That's the way it happened. I might tell you I'd rather be facing those three Japanese on the top of that hill right now than be facing this microphone. It gives me the jitters. There's one thing that I'd like to tell you, though. After we made the arrest of the three Japanese, Lieutenant Murphy, my partner, and I took the dope into Chief Davis's office. Everybody crowded around to see it, for it was one of the biggest hauls we'd ever made. The chief looked at the stuff for a few minutes in silence, and then said, "Boys, I want to congratulate you. There lies the lives of several policemen." He was right, for you can never tell what a dope addict may do when he is on the jump, as we say. More policemen are killed every year by dope users than by any other type of criminal. Of course, our job isn't only to protect the lives of policemen, but to reduce the dope traffic to the lowest minimum, so that the lives and property of you citizens may be also protected. Our success in doing this may be judged by the fact that Los Angeles is now the cleanest spot on the narcotic map of the United States.
Thank you, Captain Pitwood. Ladies and gentlemen, flowers are decking the desert. Flowers are decking the desert with the riot of color. The mountains are waking to the call of spring. The call of spring. No time in the year when your car can give you so much pleasure. That is, if your car is properly lubricated and fueled for desert going and for the steep grades of mountainside. You can enjoy these beauties to their fullest extent without annoyance if you have Rio Grande cracked gasoline with tetraethyl in your tank. With tetraethyl in your tank. With tetraethyl in your tank. Cracked is made to order for out-of-the-ordinary performance. That is why it is used by more police cars, fire engines, ambulances, and motorcycles in Southern California and Arizona than all other brands combined. For the best lubrication, demand Sinclair Opaline Motor Oil. This splendid oil is made by the world's largest independent refiner of lubricating oils. Also, it is extra refined, giving it longer life. Sold only in extra measure, tamper-proof cans. Yet Sinclair Opaline costs no more than ordinary bulk oil. To get best results from your car, try a tank full of Rio Grande cracked and a crankcase full of Sinclair Opaline.
Police calling all cars, attention all cars. The cancellation of broadcast 22. Cancellation of broadcast 22. Our special investigator has rounded up the Japanese dope ring. They are now in custody. That's all. Rosenquist.
This is Frederick Lindsley saying good night for the Rio Grande Oil Company.